All right, let's go. Welcome, everybody, to JRC StockTalk. Just a small disclaimer. We are not licensed advisors or financial planners, so please know what you own. Do your own due diligence. Take notes. Go to OTC markets. Run through the financials. Run through the details of a company before you make a buying decision. Today, we have Ludwig Enterprises CEO Antonio Reyes here on the show to talk about an exciting at-home test strip that is going to help identify types of cancer. Now, everybody's had a family member that's gone through this, so this is a very critical moment. And when you find a company that to a certain point has got zero revenue and has not gone to market, and you have an opportunity to consider them as an investment, you may want to take a serious look. I think that we have that moment right here, and I'm happy to talk about that now with Antonio. So,
thank you,
Antonio,
Joshua.
first, thank you so much for coming on the show.
No,
It's a great privilege.
Pleasure for us. My goodness, we've been looking forward to sharing the good news of Revelia. We've been doing so much work. It's about time your viewers in the world knows about the value we've created.
Well, before we dive into Revelia, if you would,
Yes.
please introduce yourself and let people know a little bit about where you come from and how you found yourself here with Ludwig Enterprise.
Absolutely. So it's an important question to ask because it kind of reflects the values of the company. I was, after having helped found and create a systems engineering firm out of Cambridge, I found out that my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I rallied the troops. The family brought them down here to Central Florida to assist in that. And she did pass away. And then about a year and a half ago, during the end of this experience, I met Dr. Marvin Housman at a social event. He too had been dealing with someone dear and near to him who had dealt with breast cancer. And in our conversations, we started to realize that I needed to come out of retirement because Revelia, which is the new brand that Ludwig is about to launch, it aims to disrupt the breast cancer screening market by delivering in Q4 a direct-to-consumer kit that contains something really simple, but that took years in development, a biomarker panel that through a simple cheek swab, not a strip, not a blood draw, not a tear, we'll talk about that maybe later, simple cheek swab can deliver and proven as a result of our tests in real clinical trials, an indication of a woman's breast health. And we'll talk about that in greater detail, but thank you for the question because it talks about how we all came together around this, and I can go on for days, but we're ready. We're ready to bring some clarity and transparency in what is really an opaque and sometimes painful market for women.
Well, I firmly believe that nothing happens by accident. You're brought here for a purpose. So I look forward to diving into that as we go into some of the questions that we've put together for you.
Sure. Thank you.
Now, if you are here watching the show, please go and share this live event with your friends, with your family, anyone that has a heartfelt connection to those that may have been lost by cancer. Because if you found a way that at home you could order a kit that through just a cheek swab, you could find out it can save lives. The sooner that people find out about this and are able to address it, the higher the percentage of healing, of recovery, of complete and total restoration is possible. So share this with other people. We want them to know about it. And if you're an investor or trader, please add LUDG to your watch list. And right below, scrolling on the screen, is their Twitter handle. Please follow that for all the updates that are going to be coming from the company, as well as looking for their press releases. I think there's a lot to expect. Let's dive in.
Indeed. Let's dive in.
So, question one, can you please tell us about your cancer screening product, Revelia?
Sure. Let's talk about it in the form of a timeline, all right? Because a product, the value of a product is often the result of a strong partnership and relationships between its founders. So Dr. Marvin Housman, I think we'll talk about him. Our chief science officer is one of the founders. And 10 years ago, he met Dr. Kyle Lambert. And the Michael J. Fox Foundation invited the two of them, one a life science expert like Dr. Housman, the other a bioinformatics expert, to come in and work around the solutions with that horrible disease. And after a great deal of success, a friendship was birthed between, and they're about 25, 30 years apart, but they're both geniuses. And the complementary kind of nature of their sciences led them to begin to discover and talk about the relationship between certain biomarkers and inflammatory disease. And therein is the kind of nexus, germination of this discovery. After they bringing that to Ludwig, ENT, they continued to get a 40 clinic trial approved, IRB approved trial, and were able to actually swab 3,200 patients, real people, in order to generate the data that then they took the time to place into a patent. And the patent is really important. Back in 2022, the patent PCT in 23, and they didn't sit on that because the data was coming in, demonstrating that these specific biomarkers that Dr. Housman had identified could serve when properly analyzed. And mind you, my daughter who's 29 asked me the other day, Dad, why wasn't this invented before? Well, it would have taken hundreds of days, if not years, thanks to AI and Dr. Kyle Lambert's skill set and expertise. What took days and years now takes hours and minutes, correct? So
Wow.
the combination of the two of them has developed eventually a platform that we're initially going to launch in order to help generate an inflammatory index that is of the highest accuracy to really inform women along their breast health plan with their specialists and doctors. So it's amazing the amount of work in the lab. They took it out and put it into clinical trials, IRB approved clinical trials, but continued to develop that data through their neural network and their ability to analyze that data. And now in Q4, we are going to launch this simple, elegant kit that we hope will amplify the body's dynamic signal of biomarkers and proteins, and inform women on when and how to act according to that indicator.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what makes Revelia different from all the other tests in the market
Mm,
today? Can you give me
sure.
like three key points that might differentiate it?
Keeping it to three is tricky, but I'll do that. Uh, First of all, I think
The most
it
important
starts.
points.
Yeah, I guess it starts with simplicity, correct? So it's a cheek swab, right? It's inside our patent, a specific cheek swab with a corresponding solution, and it arrives at women's home, direct to consumer, and in 2 minutes they're able to swab that cheek and provide us with enough nanoparticles that we can then run through our PCR sequencing in order to analyze and provide them their index number. I think the second thing is fidelity or resiliency. For example, if and I've taken the cheek swab, by the way, because as we'll talk about later, the index is not only helpful for breast cancer but for other inflammatory diseases. I'll be honest. I forgot it on my dining room table for a couple of days, and then sent it to the lab for processing. The resiliency of our tests, someone could forget it for a couple of weeks on their dining room table, send it in, and it's still accurate. And that's the third point, accuracy, right?
Wow.
And I'll talk about accuracy in the sense of you'll hear other companies talk about sensitivity, which is, are they able to accurately point to there's inflammation in your body that corresponds to some disease? And they might talk about a high level of sensitivity. But the truth is, specificity, which are false positives, right, are just as important. You don't want to bring panic to the life of a woman by telling her she has a disease or some indication, right? So, so what we have done is, again, our nerds in science, and Kyle Lambert being right now currently the director of big data science for Nike, was able to use what is called an F1, which is a harmonic mean, which takes the averages of your sensitivity, specificity, and a great deal of other factors and evaluate them in order to create an accurate index. So when it comes to simplicity, cheek swab, fidelity or resiliency, the fact that the accuracy of the tests can survive weeks at a time, and finally that accuracy. Now, at some point, you'll let me talk about utility, which I think is because I keep hinting to the fact that it is actually a biomarker panel, and eventually it's a technology and a technological platform that will be able to serve multiple cancer, inflammatory diseases.
Before we get into this next question, I really do have to first I want you to introduce who is Dr. Housman. What are his credentials, and how did this man come to Ludwig?
Right? God bless us all. What a life. So we're talking about he graduated from NYU, still sits on the board of governors, by way of the NYU Medical School, and has held positions at the NIH, at UCLA, and is board certified immunologist, as well as became a transplant surgeon, and for years was a highly regarded doctor, which for NDA reasons, I can't tell you some of the folks that he was able to serve during his time as a specialist and a physician. But throughout his life, I can't wait if you ever have him on, his mind is constantly thinking about not just how to solve the problem now, but how can we solve this problem in general? And so he kept recognizing and seeing, finally, again, at that Michael J. Fox Foundation, he identified that of the tens of thousands of proteins, nucleic acids, biomarkers, there seemed to be 48 that were rearing its head from time to time in a common way. And so he placed those in the patent and began to really study deliberately with his sort of scientific as well as medical background. Now, I will say, he's not just I can't wait for you to meet him. He's not just a nerd. He's actually worked with Squibb, Johnson Mead, and prosecuted successfully patents that have gotten, one in particular was sold to Merck. So he understands how to commercialize what he learns, and he understands bridging from a clinician to a business practice, the value that he creates. So a committed scientist that knows how to communicate that to a marketplace. And he calls this a legacy project for him. He obviously doesn't need to do it, but given his personal experience and the fact that he had dedicated so much of his life to the study of inflammatory disease and these biomarkers and their correlation, he's brought it to Ludwig. Now, it's going to be Revelia. He's having a hard time calling it Revelia because it was Ludwig for him for so long. But our branding and our marketing team obviously want to bring something that's a little easier to pronounce. And I know one of my best friends is Gottfried Schmidtke, so I love German. But we thought Revelia might be a better way to bring it to market. So that's a little bit of Dr. Housman.
So there's a good chance that we might see a name change down the line.
Oh, if you go to revelia.com, you'll see that just this past weekend, the development started off by unveiling that name. So it's still trade under LUDG, and all of that will eventually be a Revelia. But it's same science and same product, but it will our growth hackers or guerrilla marketers recognize that the name needed to change.
Understand. Yeah, it has to be synonymous with what you're doing. All right. Now that you described who Dr. Housman is, can you please what drove Dr. Housman to develop the IP and how long has he been working on this?
Sure. Well, he'd tell you he's been working on this correlation for much of his life, but the idea kind of crystallized during about a decade ago, and then he brought it under Ludwig in 2019. They began to do their own analysis, and then in 2022, when they realized they had found the 48 biomarkers, the necessary cheek swab with the corresponding solution, had designed with Thermo Fisher the chip. All of this is inside the IP. It's 84 pages long. In 2023, it became a global patent. Now, one of the things that Marvin and Kyle, who are co-authors of the patent, will constantly do is generate provisional patents, and that's not seen for me, somebody who doesn't understand. They do really important because what they would provide in the provisional patent is proof and data of how they had used the science in the original patent, and it's a way of strengthening the IP to protect because they're actually using it in their lab, in their analysis and in their sequencing. So I'd say 2019 they brought it to Ludwig, 222 the IP, 23 the PCT global, and provisional patents are ongoing. These scientists are getting data, and data is a huge treasure trove. I mean, think about 3,200 and a little more than 3,200 patients at 40 different clinical sites. That data is already ours, right? And it's being processed, and that's how we've been able to bring that kind of level of integrity and accuracy to our process and eventually to our product.
Excellent. Now, if you had to compare yourself to another home cancer screening product that's on the market, I mean, what would it be and why?
Sure, without naming names, and there's actually only one competitor who about 2 years ago, as a subsidiary of a larger company, started to dabble in protein in these biomarkers, right, as potentially signaling breast health. And immediately, the huge distinction is simplicity. We talked about that, right? In order to take their test, you receive something in the mail, and by the way, it's selling on Amazon, so it's succeeding, right? But imagine this: it's succeeding even though women receive it in the mail. They have to take something that's a freezer pack, put it in the freezer, and then take a device that's provided and stick it underneath your eyelid for up to 5 minutes, because their delivery system is through tear ducts, through tears, right? So they have to access tears and enough tears through the tear ducts. Then that goes into the freezer pack and sent off. That leads us to the second point, which is fidelity. Remember that resiliency. Their screening tests you have to take on Monday, Tuesdays, or Wednesdays because it wouldn't last a long weekend when it travels back to the lab. So that resiliency, fidelity that we were talking about of the test. So it's complicated, not resilient, and we are across the board showing and will identify that we are also more accurate. So that's the only other in the market today that's using the nucleic acids as a means. Now, we really like to get compared to Cologuard, right? And because we are following the kind of financial model of Cologuard, and we can talk about that later, but those blood tests and other tests are DNA, right, oriented, and DNA important, but they're static snapshots of our genome, right? And the mutations or modifications that occur are when it's too late, right? When the cancer is already kind of impacted. But I heard Dr. Housman mention this a few times, that the body is like a country. It has a language, right? And cancer cells are able to learn and interpret that language and deceive the body by claiming there's a wound, there's a problem here, send us, support. And as soon as it does, it feeds the cancer. So what is that language? And that's the language of these biomarkers. When we break down these nucleic acids, we are interpreting and understanding the body's dynamic signal that oftentimes the cancer is projecting and amplifying to confuse the body. We essentially intercept those and communicate to the woman, there's a problem. And based on the index, the problem should require these sorts of steps. But it's remarkable to see how we are different than DNA, but the only other competitor, simplicity, accuracy, and resilience, the product is ours is superior.
So I want to recap that to keep this simple, because there's a few points that
Yeah.
investors may want to really draw from this. One, there is somebody making money with this online.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
doing good. Two, this is far more simplistic, more resilient. If you screw up something at home or take too long, or there's not the question of the degradation of
Expires.
the
Yeah.
quality of testing that
Right.
they're able to do, the precise precision of their testing, and
Right.
any Joe Blow can do it.
Mhm.
So any woman that's looking to screen for breast cancer can do it.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
So since the tech is more capable than detecting just biomarkers for breast cancer,
Right.
when will the additional tests be coming out?
Sure. So in our timeline, we have some projections, and it's really important that we realize that a lot of information. I'd recommend that everyone watching, everybody listening, and whoever they share this with, keep an eye on our press releases. There are a lot of things that are taking place over the next few months that require everybody's attention. Things that I can't talk about explicitly, right?
Yet.
Because we are a publicly traded company, but oh my goodness, stay tuned. But I can say this, our provisional patent that I was talking about already shows the data for colorectal, right, for colon cancer and for bladder cancer. So we have now within our provisional patent shown that there are different biomarkers, and that's what's kind of cool about this science, is that it's learning through the AI constantly as to which combination of those 48 can indicate your body is pointing towards this particular disease. As you could see in our timeline, we will be in the multi-cancer market by next year. That is our expectation, our time, because we have the science. It's just a matter of growing and initially landing on what we believe is really key, which is the health and the wellness of our daughters, mothers, aunts, and wives.
So from what you described, you have at least 4 different screening tests, right? Or more.
Correct. Well, no, it's just and it's the same. It's the same swab, same test, same solution. The difference is because we have patented
The screen.
48. Yeah, 40. Yeah, same screening. We have 48. We can identify different combinations and different strands that would point to different diseases. So it's essentially, as I mentioned before, it's going to become a platform, right? It's a patient portal that talks about breast cancer initially, but it will eventually be a platform that folks can go in order to take this test, this simple and accurate test, and get responses about different diseases that might be lurking in their body. And we're not doing. It's really remarkable that back to my daughter's question, why now? It's taken us this long to understand that this dynamic signal, unlike DNA, which is really hard to pick up in the frequencies to decipher. It's taken us this long, and the kind of resiliency and dedication of folks like Marvin and Kyle to finally interpret those frequencies that the body's always been emanating. We just haven't had the means and the science to pick them up, to tune in on this dynamic signal.
Wow. So that leads me to wanting to know, if you could, and you're watching this show, Again, please like and retweet this, share it with others. Let's get everybody that we can to know about Revelia. I mean, this launch can really be epic. I think that everybody here listening, this ever invested in penny stocks, knows that it's the most exciting thing in the world when a company that's emerging growth can come to market with something like this and find success, and potentially the goal is to be able to uplist later. So please add LUDG on your watch list. Go share this with others right now, and we'll continue. So that brings me to the strategy that you're going to have for bringing this to market. Can you share with everybody how are you going to bring this to consumers?
Sure. Well, there's a three-pronged, and mind you, again, we're not blazing a new trail. Cologuard did that over a decade ago, and they're now, generating 300 million in sales a quarter. So we are going to follow a similar path where it's initially direct to consumer, and we'll do that now. Imagine if Cologuard had our technology, our understanding of media, our understanding of advertising that we do today, through growth and hacking and understanding how to grow a brand as well as a product through smart algorithmic machine learning systems. So we'll go direct to consumer with a very lean and smart approach with a specific target audience, women 40 to 65, and begin to develop that relationship over the next 6 to 8 weeks prior to our launch. And then, imagine what's going to happen when this potentially becomes viral, because it'll be a solution and a relief to so many women by empowering them. 60, 50, 40, what should I do? How many appointments? Well, here is a way of empowering and informing. I think if we do that smart, it's not going to take long for this to grow. And thank God Cologuard proved that. But we also have relationships because of our founders, because of our board, with concierge doctors, right? Concierge physicians who've already reached out and indicated interest in perhaps being channels of the test, as well as in conversations, some very important foundations that are in specifically the breast cancer space.
Foundation?
Absolutely. Yeah. Breast Cancer Institute. Again, press releases need to come out before I'm able to share too much detail, but it's remarkable when you can partner with institutions that have a certain gravitas. But when they look at Marvin, they look at our team, they look at our science, there's nothing to hide. And there's Marvin will go toe to toe with the director of any cancer institute in America, and they'll find kinship, right? Because of the integrity in our science. So there's the concierge, there's the institutional private hospitals, but our focus, in order to be lean and smart, is to go direct to consumer through growth marketing.
Outstanding. Are you focused on any individual sales, or are there other sales channels you're working that could bring the product to the masses?
Oh, yes, we are. And in our timeline, you'll see that the first thing we do is go direct to consumer. But Marvin and Kyle are already preparing. Actually, I think they finished one just a couple of weeks ago, publications. So what you do is you first get major publications, global publications.
Yep.
He'll be speaking in global cancer screening conferences. And at that point, you're looking at, again, the Cologuard story, third-party insurance, right, payments. And suddenly that lifts not only the return on the kits, but amplifies your market a great deal by pulling it through the insurance carriers. And that's in our timeline.
I don't know if you've ascertained this yet or not, so forgive me if I'm going too forward, but do you know the price point of the end product?
Ours, $249.
So when you say a relief, now I've heard this word Cologuard twice in the last day, because I just went to my doctor and had a checkup and full blood screening, and they mentioned that I'm going to have to use Cologuard. So I know exactly what you're talking about at age
Right.
47. And that's a real concern for a lot of people.
Sure.
They want to keep up to date with their health. $240 for some people may be a challenge. So when you say um, insurance, when they can come into play and is covered, that would be excellent. Is that something that's come into works with your product?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll reiterate
Excellent.
the global publications and presentation precedes, and that's in our timeline well, I'm sure my lawyers would prefer that I keep it vague, but it's imminent. It's imminent. It's in, and it really is within the wheelhouse and the experience of our team. They've done this before. This is just sort of one of the greatest manifestations. So we have it in our timeline to go through insurance. But the truth is, uh, I don't know, when I go to a mechanic or a dentist, and he or she says it'll be $2,000 to repair a tire, I don't know, right? But if I had some $249, and I guess, it depends on the car you drive, right? Whether
Yeah.
an axle and a tire. But I've had that happen. I've had that happen. But the point is, if you were able to spend $249 to bring information to that session with your doctor, to that session, and suddenly feel empowered to participate in that dialogue so that you don't always feel like you're being, oh, go here, oh, go there. Well, have to do, but it's a very important tool. And for a woman
No
that,
brainer.
yeah, it's that peace of mind, that empowerment, and that's what we want to give, women along their breast health plan, is more information that they can walk in and make smart decisions. Just imagine how many costs they might avoid,
A
if they're
lot.
empowered with this kind of information. How much
And
sleep they
again,
might have. Yeah,
early screening can save lives.
that's
If it
right.
goes to
That's right.
stage 4 and then you find out, I mean, there's an uphill battle there that most people aren't prepared to handle. But
Right.
if you're finding out in early stages, there's a really strong chance you don't have to go through mastectomies and other things to be able to um, rid yourself of such a life-taking moment, and this is, I'm excited about this. So okay, we
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
great product. We have 3 different ways that you're going to market. You have a target market established, and everything we've heard is really exciting. I guess the next strategical question I have is, tell us about the management structure of Ludwig and the key figures that are involved.
Sure. Well, the nice thing is that between Marvin, our chief science officer, who also sits on our board, and our board is starting to fill up with some renowned experts. Then we have Kyle Lambert, our CTO, that I've mentioned to you, is currently sitting after serving bioinformatics at Intel, now big data at Nike, would come to serve as our CTO, and is essentially functioning as that. But the person I haven't mentioned, which is probably the most important person to your audience, is our CFO, right? Our Chief Financial Officer, Scott Silverman. And I think it's important for everyone to realize that, we have experience in Marvin and in Kyle, but Scott in particular has been a part of the securities, the management, the oversight of our own S1s, right, and our own Qs, but also has been a part of the successful uplists and IPOs of at least 20 companies. He actually, when I asked him that question a couple of days ago, he said, wow, I've lost count. So and Marvin's rung the bell, right? So we have a team that has the experience to deliver on the next stage, a product that can deliver and bring, uh, wealth and health, and a team that can go on and move on to the next stage. So very, very lean, very smart, very focused. And then when you know, we talk about our bench, right? What if our tests were being evaluated by who knows who? Well, actually, Genetic Institute of America is a CLIA, which is the highest certification that a lab can have in the United States. CAP CLIA certification is the laboratory that is providing us with the analysis, the PCR analysis here in the near future, the sequencing, in the recent testing, and our fulfillment. And this is what they do all the time for other clients, but are directly working with our science team to make sure that our unique chip, our unique PCR process has all the necessary reagents and is properly done in a way that's cost effective. So we have this CAP-CLIA, Genetics Institute of America lab, that team, and then Grace Technologies, which is a development company when it comes to the build out of the websites and other areas, which are doing it now with other companies in the life sciences. So off the bench, we have these qualified, support. But out on the field or the court, depending on your sport, we have all stars. I feel sometimes like I graduated from Duke. God forbid anybody says this, but sometimes I feel like Coach K, coaching a dream team, and it really is an embarrassment of riches. We don't apologize because we're bringing value to the world. We're bringing value to the traders. So let's get it done.
Excellent. Yeah, that was my grandfather's alma mater. He got his
No kidding.
master's degree in forestry there at Duke. Great school.
Wow. And an impressive forest. So he didn't have to travel far. Yeah, I drove through it every day from east to west campus. That's for sure.
Now, for those of you that are watching now, you may or may not have been to Buffalo Fireside Chat with Antonio on Sunday. Now, on Sunday, Antonio, you made a very bold statement about uplisting the company to a higher exchange without having any sales to warrant the uplist. Like, how many of the management team members have successfully brought companies to the NYSE or NASDAQ? And what makes you think that Ludwig is capable of this uplist?
Well, my confidence is their confidence. And what I mean by them is that we have been in conversations with banking institutions, well-renowned investment banks that are specialized particularly in successful uplists and IPOs in the life sciences and in biotech. And again, please stay tuned because I can't speak of very specific things that are imminent.
Hold on.
But
So again,
yes,
people, right there at the bottom of the screen is the X, formerly Twitter, handle for Ludwig. Please go to @LUDG_INC and follow them for all the updates that are coming out here in the expected future.
right. Thank you.
Right.
And those who follow Ludwig, and please do, because that's will automatically also be shared when Revelia, right? Because Revelia was just rebranded last week. We'll have our own social media channels that will kind of overlay alongside Ludwig, but it's all part of a plan. So confidence is really the confidence that I've when I've heard our CFO, when I've heard Marvin talk to the science analysts at these investment banks, and I've seen the results of those conversations. There is a lot of confidence when I hear the Scott talk to their analyst about debt ratios, no toxicity. What are these, your commitments look like? Everyone of the team and the investors are obligated, but committed to, nevertheless, to uplist and convert, right? So no one's jumping ship or even able to jump ship. It's really clean, very clean. The way we've organized the financials, which makes it easier for investment bankers to do so. Now, I've mentioned the experience Scott has had with at least 20 servicing the financial needs of at least 20 uplists or IPOs. Really deep sort of Vita, and then Marvin has rung the bell, and again negotiated both the acquisition and the sale of drugs and of certain biotech elements that he patented and then went on to sell to major pharma. One in particular, which is the most renowned, is went to Merck eventually. So we've got experience.
So they know the name already.
Oh yeah. No. The thing I hear from Marvin, uh, this ain't my first rodeo, right? So over and over and over again. So yeah, the ability to deliver is based on the confidence of third parties that I've seen interacting with our team, looking at our data and understanding the market, the TAM alone for breast cancer is 4.7 billion. When you include the other inflammatory diseases, it's closer to 31 billion. That's even before we become the technological platform for multi-cancer, OCD, even other inflammatory related diseases, which is more like 200 billion. So we're
Wow.
starting where our heart is, where our mothers and wives and daughters are, grandmothers, but the market is expansive, and we're confident that we're going to get there soon.
That's exciting. Um,
Yeah,
I'm really happy to find all this out and to have you on the show because
sure.
again, I've been around OTC market, emerging growth
Mm,
companies for a while, and out of
mm,
the years, I've had 3 or 4 that
mm,
I've been part of that have actually had the privilege of uplisting, and it's a
mm,
tough road to hoe. I mean, when you
mm.
start out with as an emerging growth company, it's hard. I mean,
Right.
it's your business and separately run the company, which are almost separate entities. So my question is,
Yeah.
I this isn't one that I had planned, but do you happen to know what the share structure is like at this present moment?
A great question for Scott, and I've heard him.
Okay.
I don't want to misspeak because my goodness, it's really important to us. It's almost so clean that I'd hate to misspeak and tarnish the fine work that he's done. But he'd be more than happy to maybe we need to tweet about it in a way that will answer that question because it's a simple structure that the investment banks have like gone, wow, okay.
That's one of the most important questions to an OTC
Yeah,
investor in looking
right.
at an emerging growth company. They want to know how the stock is structured. And sometimes OTC markets isn't the best at having the updated information. And a
Mm.
lot of times the transfer agents aren't willing to clearly relay that information unless they have express permission from the company. So if you guys once in a while tweet that information, that could be huge. Um,
Oh my goodness, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure somebody in our legal team is going to tell me there's a reason for that, but that sounds absurd. If your audience is taking their hard-earned money and believing in this growth story, our ability to communicate in every possible way the latest updates, and that's why I keep saying, stay tuned. It's coming soon, but as soon as it's available, as a publicly traded company, we have to share it. We have to share it. We have to share it. There's no
okay, well, no.
playing games around that. So, yeah, that's a shame to hear. You're not going to get it from us. We're all a part of a family that's going to grow together.
Excellent. That's really encouraging. I'm excited about that because clear and transparent communication is the best way to keep investors as long-term shareholders. And I know lately the market has seen a lot of flipping, and that's not what you're looking for when you're going to market for the first time to produce revenue, looking at uplisting and taking this somewhere that they could actually bank on as an investor. I mean, we're all looking for an investment that can help fund our kids' college and future
Absolutely.
house purchases and lifestyle changes that we all hope for. And
That's
this
right.
this has that potential.
That's right. Amen.
Now, another thing you mentioned in that interview on Sunday was that investment banks are courting your company. Now, do you have any type of idea of when you may or may not be partnering with an investment bank? How soon that might take place?
Yes, I do have an idea. Press release is forthcoming. Um, you know, Q4, Q4 is when we're going to launch, um, and where everything's going to converge together. So it's not mañana, it's now, and we'll let you and your family and your audience know. as soon as the ink has dried. But the ink's a little wet. The ink's a little wet.
Outstanding. Typically, when you partner with an investment bank based on current price, they would step in and begin buying the stock. I mean, which in turn could help the company meet the initial price or listing price requirements. But, other people come into the picture and they're like, hey, they're going to do a reverse split. So I want to address that. Um,
Mm.
One, do you believe you're going to be able to meet the listing price requirement prior to listing, or is there a reverse split planned in the future that will help you get there?
Oh, goodness, no. I mean, our board of directors hasn't uh, considered that option in large part because we've been so focused on this inflection point, right? On the go to market, on the product launch. And if imagine, I don't know what we are at right now, but when the word starts getting out, as you're helping it, this is only the second podcast I've done. You mentioned Fireside on Sunday, first podcast ever. Period. Tweets have not even gone out yet. I think they're starting to go out today or tomorrow because they go through a legal process, and we need to be carefully vetting those. So the launch of the brand, we have brand guidelines. We're really proud of our logo, and it's we've got the box and the whole thing and all the necessary pieces ready to roll regarding fulfillment. But we've been so focused on that we're confident, and so seeing the banks of our ability to uplist without very many complications.
Excellent. Right now, the
Yeah,
stock is trading at 20 cents a share.
yeah, that's great. Beautiful. It's six and a half, I think, cents more than it was 3 days ago.
Yeah,
And
today
it's
alone, it was up 37%.
right. Yeah. No, and that's what is it, Thursday? I'm sure and we have not started. We're just starting now our IR campaign. So I'm pretty confident that once the word gets out, once we can shout it from the mountaintops and that echoes across the plain of investors and traders. Um, Listen, if I can't give you advice, but flip, stay, it's going to grow. Or we hope that it does. My legal team would say we hope that it grows.
We
We're
expect,
confident that it
anticipate, and
will.
believe that it's going to
That's
grow.
right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Thank you for that minor correction. But that's how confident I am. That's how confident we are. But we do have to um, abide by the rules and quell our joy.
But only a little bit.
Oh, a little bit. A little
Yeah.
bit.
You mentioned that your convertible notes are not toxic on Sunday. Based on your filings, the notes
Yes.
are convertible only after the company uplists. Can you
Right.
elaborate on what that means?
Not really, other than what I said. And I think if by elaborate you mean go into the fine print, it
Sure.
really is. Yeah, it's a simple note, 12-month note, simple percent, and convertible upon uplist. There's no sort of hidden
Is it to Tom?
terms. Is it the what?
Is it to Tom?
To Tom Terwilliger? Yes, 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 exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, straight up, sincere, and
That makes sense. I mean, he's worked his butt off to make sure this shell was, or this company, for you,
yeah,
the vehicle is
yeah.
clean. And I think that you're an outstanding example of the type of share structure and company structure that someone wants to find in an OTC company.
I'm actually meeting Tom for dinner later tonight.
Please
And
tell him I said hi. I haven't talked to
I
him for a
shall,
while.
I shall. Sounds good.
All right. So last question, most exciting question to me. As
Yes,
an investor, I'm sitting here on pins and needles. I'm looking at you going to market, talking to investment banks, potential uplist, um, amazing information. So, what as an investor can I look to see over the next 3 to 6 months?
sure. Results, right? Announcements, press releases, provisional patents that demonstrate how the data continues to, and then post revenue. Revenue. revenue, right? That's what everyone's goal has been for years. Like we're talking about 2019, and it wasn't yesterday. It's been very meticulously, kind of managed and shepherded, but it's here now. Our go-to-market, our launch is the inflection point we've all been waiting for. Yes, we'll publish. Yes, we'll, pursue the insurance. All of that is in our timeline. But Q4, launch and then bring revenue to all these conversations. Everyone knows pre and post. It's from a good idea to a good business model, and that's what you can expect as a trader.
Now, I've got a few questions from the crowd.
Yes.
So if you would take just a few moments, we've gone through all the questions we have for you,
Yeah.
but one, will the company be looking to sell on Amazon as well?
No, not initially. It's something that the business dynamics and the kind of costs involved in that relationship, not necessary, especially because right now one of the features, back to simplicity in our is that our competitor, you have to only use one carrier and you have to drop it off at that one of their locations. Our strategy is multiple carriers, any carrier, pick it up, drop it off at some site, so simple, and quality control. I think there's nothing wrong with Amazon. I use Amazon, but I for a product like this with the kind of integrity that we're trying to uphold, I think we're going to protect that for now. And
Good.
when third-party insurance wants to pay for it, that'll be somebody else's decision. But we're making sure that the science and the integrity is strong and protected.
And I guess somebody wanted to clear up.
Yes.
Will there be one individual screening test or for each cancer, or one test for multiple cancers?
The latter.
Yeah.
One swab for multiple inflammatory diseases, and then the business model we'll share more later, but it'll be an add-on, essentially, is what we're looking at. So you're mostly concerned about this because it's in your family history, so you're going to pay for that. But the one swab, the one screen, can provide us the information we need for multiple diseases, inflammatory diseases. Yeah.
And one other question was, it's very specific. I'm curious myself, but
Yeah.
will there be working on with large pharmacies to sell this, or large testing companies like Quest or LabCorp?
Yeah, I think within the financial model, there is an exponential growth once the third-party insurance, and then exactly how we capitalize on that third-party payer. It'll be fairly simple but the answer is, of course, we would, that's where people typically Quest, LabCorp, where they're interfacing with their testing for their, but we are, ours is intended to bypass the kind of friction and barriers that those institutions and those centers sometimes creates. I don't know if anybody's had a good experience. I'm sure they're a wonderful company. But we're trying to bring health to your doorstep and to your private doctor and those that you trust directly. So it'll be a good problem to have, but for now we're holding down the quality and the integrity of the work and the science we're trying to bring to women and to their breast health.
Thank you, everybody, for being involved with finding out what's going on with Ludwig Enterprises. This is Antonio Reyes, CEO of the company. He will be the front face of this, and I look forward to having him back on JRC Stock Talk. Antonio, thank you so much for your time, man. It's been a pleasure. I think we've handled all the investor questions we have to this present moment, and I do not see any others that are present at this time. So is there anything you'd like to say
Thank you
to everyone before I ask you a few personal questions?
No, no, I'm please stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned, and spread the wealth and spread the word, because we're excited about what we've taken so long to bring to market.
Excellent. All right, we're going to transition here with you to
Yes.
a segment I could like to call "Let's Get Personal."
Oh my.
So, if you have
Okay.
that hat ready, I'm going to ask you a
Oh,
pivotal question. Now, leaving the
yes.
company aside, as an investor, I want to get to know you a little bit and find out what
Okay.
type of person you are. So, if you could tell everybody who is your favorite band and why, and how long have you been following them?
Oh, since 1979, boy, BOI, why I've been led to beautiful sacred places from Mexico to most recently Las Vegas, to be entertained by you two. Now, for me, it it's funny because I grew up a preacher's kid, right? In Chattanooga, Tennessee,
You
Bible
were
Belt.
in Chattanooga?
Chattanooga and Cleveland, Tennessee, to be exact.
No,
I
okay,
always
well,
say,
I was in Calhoun. Continue.
no way, no way. That's trippy. Okay. So, I have to say Chattanooga because no, everybody's going to go Ohio if I say Cleveland.
Yep.
But I grew up in a very kind of, spiritual space. But my parents, for some reason, things let me listen, and something about their message went beyond. And a very good friend of mine, all the way back from Duke, of Biblica, and it's an organization that is it owns the Bible, distributes it throughout the world. And he was talking to me how one of the voices that was used when they first narrated the Bible was Bono's. Um, so it was fascinating. Can you hear me? Okay, I've lost
Yeah, I
you.
can
Can you
hear
hear
you.
me now? Okay, okay, yeah.
I
So
live off the
you
exit
can,
where that 88
no.
some 100 car pileup was back in
Oh, right.
86, was it
Yeah.
6?
Sure, sure. Oh my gosh, that was horrible. Yeah, the fog, for people in San
Oh,
Francisco, it's every day, but for us, oof. So no, no, U2 fan, four daughters. That's what I'm most proud of, and thrilled that we're came out of retirement to do something that was this noble, this good, and this smart. Um, what else can I share? Oh, I see your Dolphins banner back there, and I've been a New England Patriots fan longer than Tom Brady's been alive. Right? Uh, that ought to tell you something. Back when Dan Marino and Bob Greasy used to pave their Sundays with Patriot blood. You guys. So I'm not here to complain about 7 years of glory,
you can't.
when I suffered for about a generation of mediocrity. So it's music, sports, and
Next,
children. Yeah.
the other thing, the pivotal thing, what is your
Yes.
favorite food?
Oof. Wow. Okay. Feijoada. Does that ring a bell?
No?
So everything that we love about Southern cooking, and for those that do love it, understand what I mean. If you've been to New Orleans or some diner along the South, everything that we love those flavors come from West Africa, right? And one of the places where that flavor first landed was on the eastern coast of Brazil, and they have feijoada. It's this unbelievable concoction of like a stewish nest thing. It's a little bit close to our jambalaya, like what we would think of jambalaya, but just far more filled with flavor. So yeah, that particular dish from the eastern part of Brazil. But
Wow.
yeah, waffles and chicken. Come on, I'm from Tennessee. I
That's awesome.
but yeah, but no one would know que mi primer idioma es español. My first language is Spanish, right? My parents are from Puerto Rico, so it's it's a little bit of everything in my life. But I was learning. I was listening to country music before I ever. I thought salsa was something you poured on your chips. I didn't know you danced to it until much older in my life. But yeah, it's been a fun journey. Looking forward to this next chapter.
I'm looking forward to you coming back on the show. I want to find out the updates after you've gone to market. I want to
Yeah,
have you on here to be able to talk with investors and traders again. I mean, so far we've had
absolutely.
650 people tune in to this little live segment, but those numbers are going to grow because not everybody can be here when we're having our show, but there's going to
Right.
be a ton of replays. And I look forward to seeing everybody that's on here right now share this. Put it on your timeline. Go talk to somebody about it. If they have family members that have faced cancer, you know how important it is to get out
Mm.
the message. And we're part of that
Right.
process. So, everybody, let's join hands and do what we can to get exposure for Ludwig, soon to be Revelia, as they get prepared to go to market. And Antonio, without further ado, thank you so much for joining me
Absolutely.
in this market.
Pleasure. Mine. And again, looking forward to continuing to share.
Thank you.
You bet.
All
Have a
right,
good
guys,
day.
back at you. 1 second. For everybody that's here, like, share, subscribe, go to X or Twitter, follow Ludwig Enterprises, and do a favor for yourself. Research the company. Go to
Mhm.
OTC Markets, look at the share structure, look at the people behind this. It's worth your time.
Amen.
All right, guys. Here we go. We're getting ready for our next segment where we talk about the hottest stocks in OTC markets and the due diligence behind why they're moving, as well as share some of the bummers and the downfalls that people have stepped into and talk about why it may or may not have transpired. Coming up to you in just a second, JRC Stock Talk. All right, let's go. What's up, guys?
Hello, hello.
How you doing, Shido?
What's up?
Man, welcome from all the way from Europe. What time is it where you're at?
11:30 p.m.
Whew, that's dedication, baby.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Pat, thanks for joining us, man. Always a pleasure to have you guys on here. There's a lot to chop up today. I'm excited about it personally. What'd you think about the interview?
What a fascinating guy. I mean, that just such a unique guy and so cool to see him kind of come out of retirement for this. And obviously, to only have one competitor on the market and have a superior product is pretty darn exciting. So
That sets
I
the tone for a
enjoyed it
great
for
run.
sure.
That sets the tone for a great run, man. So yeah, again, I'm glad I've started following the company. I know that they tweet actively, so it's not like we're going to have those moments as investors wondering what's going to happen next. Will they communicate? Won't they? It looks like they have a lot of things lined up, and I expect they may or may not. Like you said, the ink is drying. So I expect to hear news soon on what's going on with the investment banker. I expect to hear more updates as they get ready to go to market. And the key thing I took away from everything was most companies, when they target a niche in the market, there's a lot of preparation, a lot of cost, a lot of overhead that goes into setting everything up for that niche. So I asked him directly, I'm like, how much and how much complexity is it in transferring to another niche? Like, so you're starting out with breast cancer, and say next you want to focus on bladder cancer, colon cancer, whatever it is. Like, how hard is it for you to make that transition? He said, "What do you mean?" He said, "All we're going to do is change the color of the packaging and target the marketing for that niche because the test kit covers all of it. It's just the biomarkers that they put together in the testing that are specific to each type of cancer. So they don't have to like put out a different product. They don't have to, put out a bunch of money in manufacturing, setup, or any of that stuff. It's really exciting."
It is. I mean, there's a lot of applications, and I'm sure there are a lot of people. You think about the process of going to get tested, and if you're worried about it, and maybe people will put it off because they don't want to deal with the hassle of it, and they figure, oh, just I don't feel terribly well, but if I get some more rest, whatever, I'll deal with it whenever. And so to have that at-home kit that's durable, you know what I mean, that can actually last when you send it through the mail and everything like that, and give people a chance to take that test and maybe actually get ahead of this stuff and potentially save their life. I mean, that's the key, right?
So what do you think about the move in the stock here recently?
It's been okay. It's kind of just floating around. But last few days seems to be letting go a little bit. Today was an okay move. Not massive volume, but some. And hopefully they can kind of break it loose here.
Well, this is the second time that he has even talked to the public.
Yeah.
So that's pretty bold. They haven't even put out a single dollar in revenue to this point. So most people aren't going to be, previous to this time, most people weren't looking at this company unless they knew people that were involved directly. So now that they're stepping into, hey, we're at the batter's box and we're about to take a swing, everybody's going to be paying attention. I mean, I'm excited to be part of people finding out about it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm just looking at the chart here. It's a nice move today, 37%. Not a ton of dollar volume, but not bad at all. And the last, basically since the start of September, it's been kind of chugging its way up, save for one or two errant sells. It's been okay.
All right. Well, you know how we do things. You want to go ahead and go through the list of OTC market movers and check this out? Go ahead and put your screen up there whenever you get to that point. And for all those that are here, please support this stream. There's a QR code right here. If you want to support this stream, please go and drop a little bit of money in. I promise you personally that all of the money that's invested will go towards getting more exposure and marketing for more people to find out about the content we're providing you. Due diligence right from the horse's mouth, directly from companies that have a strong amount of meat on the bone. So
now, can you get us on the screen there?
Yep.
Okay.
Whoa, where's the screen? Hold on. And there we
Beautiful.
go.
All right. Well, let's check it out. It was a bit of a slower day today. Let's get into the advancers list to begin with, and then we'll go from there. So you can see here, right here is a dollar volume column. Maybe I'll zoom it in a touch, eh? How's that? Better.
Yeah.
Dollar volume column right here. So we're looking ideally for anything over 10 grand right now. That's kind of where we're at. And then we can talk through them.
TW, what was that? TWOH?
Yeah, $300.
Oh, I was looking at the share volume. Forgive me.
Yeah. I wish it was the other way around.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
How many splits have they had now in the last 5 years? Would you say 2 hands? 4? 3
She
or
does
4?
work with it. Wait.
5 actually.
Ow!
No, that's wrong. 3.
3.
I thought it was 3. I wouldn't have been surprised at 5, to be honest with you.
Oh,
but-
goodness.
Since 2020, it's 3.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Maybe before that they had 1 or 2 as well, I think. So
If
It's
you're
a-
an investor and you
what's
see
so
a
funny about Two Hands is that they don't care. Like, they were originally called Two Hands because it was a co-parenting app. Remember that? And it was 2 hands. So each parent would give a hand, and that's what it was. And then since then they've become online shopping, they've become grocery delivery, but they know that they're just going to dump it anyways, and they don't actually care about any of the businesses they're becoming. So they just stay as Two Hands. It's too much work to change the name. So it's just unbelievable how many rounds of dumping that Two Hands has done as of late.
So
That's
just to
just
get
the
a
way
little
it
bit
is.
of background to that, guys, if you're an investor and you're on OTC markets, go to the company's profile page. Scroll down to the bottom of the profile page, and it will show you in the left-hand side a little box that shows you forward or reverse splits. That's one of the things you want to look at. Say the structure of the stock looks pretty good, but they've done 5 reverse splits in the past 2 or 3 years. It doesn't mean the stock looks good anymore, because then you're seeing a lot of overhang from previous investors at other prices that are just going to make it impossible for the stock to really take off and do well.
Yep.
Barring an
the
active
thing
guy.
is, and they didn't either did small ones. The last 3 reverse were like 1 to 1,000. So it's basically every time it's a full loss for any existing shareholder.
Yeah, total wipeout.
Total wipeout. Yeah.
Yeah, total wipeout, holding it through the split. What was the one that they were so angry at me about for their split? Oh, gosh.
There were a few.
Yeah. Yeah. And they wrote that ridiculous letter about buy it before the split to take care of your family, and I said, this letter is insane. And the people came out, and
Sued
one
them?
lady said that I was attacking her sister that passed away by attacking the stock.
Yeah.
I'm trying to save people, lady. I'm going to throw you a life
And I was like, I'm not attacking. I don't know your sister. And I didn't know. And, I'm sorry she passed away. But my not liking this stock, I got to be honest with you. It's not I've never even heard of your sister. How is this How is this conversation even happening? Boy, oh boy, if I could remember. It's a real nasty one, too. Anyways. But yeah, that was the word on the
Drink
street.
Kool-Aid.
Is
Crazy
that I
thing.
attacked her sister.
Yeah.
Give me a break. All right, let's get into it. Farmhouse. If you don't know Farmhouse, this has been historically a wild mover, and
Whoa.
big stuff. You remember this one? And they were putting in the crazy news, like eat the weed, or like they were just putting in tons of news at mutant ape weed, bored ape, mega OG, holovision. It was just everything. And then today they announced that they are acquiring T-Pain's beverage company.
Didn't T-Pain create that beverage company with Paula? Paula, you remember from the NBCO interview?
Yeah, maybe she did. Yeah.
That's interesting. I wonder if it's the same one.
Am I allowed to say the name of the brand? Like, where are we at right now?
Nappy Boy Drinks.
Okay. Well, you did it.
I did it.
I don't need the smoke. You know what I mean? I saw what happened to
Nappy
Don
boy
Imus.
drinks.
Anyways, they've got the T-Pain drink brand, and it made a little move today. It wasn't great, but there was a bit of a move there, and the setup is still not bad. At 6 million unrestricted, 1.7 DTC. So there's room for a move if they were to lay off the sell button, but they've not been very good at that to date.
I see a lot of red.
Yeah, a lot of selling there. So it depends. I don't know if T-Pain drinks is enough for them to finally lay off. I would be a little bit concerned about buying it too high across the spread. But if you were to fill it on bid sub 20 cents, maybe there's something there. But it's all up to whether or not they want to lay off. You know what I mean? And that's the big question. Here's a company that never lays off.
Ardar.
They might.
Holy.
This
goodness.
is the bullying app. That goes straight to zero and splits every year or every couple years? Yeah. 1 to 5,000, 1 to 100, back in trips again. Yeah, get those sounds going. Let's go. Brutal. And I think it's back at zero. So let's see. How fast did they do it? This is pretty fast. Yeah. So it's in trips, and they did some type of promo thing in April, and it's getting bought up again. And for
Did
me,
they get flagged when they do the promo?
I'm gonna have to pass because I mean you can just get ruined there again by another split. As you know, Chinese low float tickers have been rocking. We're looking at FVTI, which made an unbelievable move that we've been tracking. I had $2.50 here, so not bad. I don't have any left. I wish I did, but a very good move there. And then now, just yesterday, another one got bought up, 500K at DTC, LNMG. And so I spotted the front load on it last night, and they woke up going for it today. There it was yesterday. Someone filled 300K of it out of nowhere, and they started buying it up again today. So very similar to a lot of these different Chinese low float setups. LNMG is one. Another one to watch.
With them?
What was that?
Have you noticed a pattern with them?
Yes, a bunch of them are running. It's like they've been holding on to these shells for years, and then all of a sudden have activated all their sleeper cells. Like, what are a few more, Shido? There's been a bunch.
GMTH, yeah, and PXPC was good. I don't know if that is Chinese as well, but certainly a low float.
Looks like the same chart.
They all look the same. Look at this getting revved up again. They all look exactly the same. And seriously, it's like all these Chinese bought all these thin shells over the years, never said a word, and they're all happening at once. It's unbelievable.
I'm going to make a prediction that after this boom and the excitement and people picking which one they want to go after, the bottom's going to drop out.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're all going to. I mean, the trouble with these is that if you're trying to trade them, like, it's all hindsight's 2020, right? But when you're in it and the bid disappears, then you're looking around and you're saying, why would anyone buy this? You know what I mean? And there's really no answer as to why anyone would buy it. You're just a bystander, and you hope that the pumping continues. So it's a bit of risky business. The one that wasn't too bad that I thought was kind of interesting for a reason, and that was this GMTH, and so this is a new ticker from August. And they made an acquisition of a company and basically have launched this shell. And this company is worth quite a bit of money. In terms of their acquisition. Let's see if I can find it. I'll find it in the Discord if I can't find it here. Let me grab it. Yeah, GM Tech acquired ANP Tech for $200 million. So they bought an asset that is in this shell for 200 mil, which is pretty good. There it is. 100% ownership interest. Yeah.
Amptech Inc.
Amptech Inc. So, it is Chinese, and you're never really going to know what it was. But there was a big transaction there, and there's no chart history, so there's no real resistance to speak of. And if they let it buck, I mean, this could be just crazy. So, and it is Chinese, which is very hot right now. Held at DTC only 675,000. So I think you got to be keeping an eye on it, to be honest. Because yeah, I mean the market cap alone, if the deal was at 200 million and the market cap is 7 million, then I'm just saying, gotta watch it. So
somebody chimed in from the chat and it was like PPCB. Is that the split machine you were talking about?
That is one of them. Oh, I'm trying to think about what the other one is. And she said, my sister, why did you attack my sister? Think about, I'm holding this for my sister. And I was like, what? I'll try and find it, but my goodness. Oh, here it is. No, is that it? No. Oh, here it is. BOMO.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a different symbol in the past.
BOMO back in trips after the split. So if you held, listen to this. If you held BOMO through the reverse split, so let's say this was trip 1 here. The shares that you were already bagged on are now down 99.63%.
Yeah, it was 11 to 1,000 split in October, last October.
Wow.
Yeah. I attacked her sister, though. Good gracious.
Did her sister have a coronary after seeing the stock?
Her sister had already passed away, so I was
running over in her grave. I get it.
I didn't mean to do it. I just didn't like BOMO. For goodness.
ZHUD. Not recently.
How many? ZHUD had this acquisition, and then they did the giant AS raise. Is that correct, Shido?
I don't know if they did the AS raise. Maybe, yeah. To 500 million, yeah.
I thought it was more.
So either they got toxic notes or they're trying to make an acquisition?
Right now it shows 500 million.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure if that was raised. But I know the stock. I've been in this one for a while.
Right, and they've got a merger coming. And this is the Belisarian Custo. And they say they have a merger coming. But for the life of me, I could have sworn that there was something else there that I did not was a fan of. But I could be totally wrong.
I just looked up SOS, and it's also 500 million there.
Okay,
so.
well that's good then. I must be thinking of a different one. So they've got this acquisition coming. It's decent. It's a letter of intent for now, but they're advising on a bunch of investments, and it's a good shot of volume and maybe looking to continue. It's been a tough trade over the last couple of years, but maybe they're finally getting it underway here. Cross on the daily, and it's definitely a thought. Stay over a penny. It could be pretty good. There's that GMTH. I'm telling you, watch it. Got to watch it. Civics had a change of control today. This is, as you know or don't know, a Frank Iguilor custo ticker, who has sold this, interestingly, to the CEO of SITS, Southern ITS, as well as another one. I forget what's the other one that he's the CEO of, but he sold it to the CEO of Southern ITS.
Jim Shipley.
James E. Shipley. And let me just...
a Shipley and a Shipman in the same company. Outstanding.
Yeah, I know. You got all the ships. Yeah, Southern ITS.
People are just eating this ship up.
Yeah, oh, boy.
I had to.
Please be a different guy. Can't see that, can you?
No. There you go. Oh. Ouch.
Well, hold on, though.
That's 78.
Okay.
That's when I was. That's 46.
And this looks like it's
47
tax
years ago.
stuff. This looks like it's tax stuff.
Yeah.
See, that's not fair. If I Googled myself and I got in some tax business in 1978 and it pops up as that, I'm calling Google.
I'm suing somebody.
I'm calling Google. I'm saying, is this Google? So anyways, he's the CEO of Southern ITS and Trust Feed. And he's acquired control of Civics today. And it's a trip for sure. It opened up to a little bit of a gap and didn't really sell off. Nice shot of volume there. He did a good job with Southern ITS back in the day when he first took the deal on. And it was a nice move. And so now he has that trip in Civics and no idea what the plans are there. But, it made a good move because all those custodian ships were making the move back in the COVID days. But now it's kind of on the floor and you have a new CEO coming in. So it's something to watch. I mean, you got to be a little bit careful when you're dealing with tickers where Frank was involved, because he says that he leaves, but it feels like he never leaves. He certainly never leaves the bid. Or the ask, sorry. He never leaves the ask.
Which Frank?
But Frank Iguilor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't leave the ask. But maybe he's ready to go. Who knows? So there's that. Definitely something to watch. I don't know what this is. It's SEC delinquent. Jewel. Had an 8K out. Little move today, so we'll take a look. This is a delister from the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at this.
A little bounce action then.
Yeah, a little bit of a bounce. Boy, what a sell-off, eh? Bouncing now pretty nicely. Hard to say. Is there a ton of meat on the bone? I mean, this is where it lived. It's really tough to say. An SEC delinquent, not ideal. So maybe I'll hold off on that for now. Single Point also delisted quickly. It uplisted and delisted right away.
Really?
Yeah.
Show on the chart the date that they listed.
Let me see if I can find it. This has been crazy. And it went straight to zero. They did a split. Went straight to zero.
1 for 100 forward or reverse? Reverse, right?
Reverse.
Yeah. Reverse.
Wow.
Because they are listed, but they are one of the worst out there. Always been.
Yeah. And
How
it
were they
happened
approved for the uplist looking like that?
because I'm trying to remember when it uplisted. It was a while ago now, not that long though.
No, maybe 18 months,
Yeah.
12 to 18 months, I guess.
I'm not even sure if it was a full year.
Was it not?
No.
Yeah, but there must be a filing about it. Hmm.
It's not easy uplisting. I mean, it's hard to
February.
accomplish. And then once you do, you're held to a higher standard. And if your price drops and you act like an OTC market company, you will not be there for long.
No.
And with the way that small cap stocks have been getting, especially stocks in the Russell 2000, they've been getting crushed with short selling.
Yeah.
Last December, I think.
December. That's right. Yeah. It wasn't even a full year.
Okay, I thought it's longer. Yeah.
There it was. There was their split. And then selling ever since, split again straight to zero. Now getting a bit of a relief bounce, but really nasty situation. And a little bit of a bounce there, but yikes.
But 25% of a 1,000-foot drop is not going to.
Yeah. I mean, you could see on a split adjusted basis, holy crapola. Yikes. So, yeah, could they bounce it? I couldn't tell you. I mean, even today when they tried to bounce it, it sold back off. So, tough situation. It would just be a roll of the dice, basically. Aussie. I don't know if I've...
Interesting.
Also, Sing needs that Q2 filing badly. Just so people know. Only has like about 2 more weeks. A little bit more than 2 more weeks.
Jeez Louise. Oh. When you're clicking these websites now on these OTCs, sometimes they take you to the Trojan. Get a virus. Electromagnetic actuators. Anything from them at all lately, or BRB?
Be right back.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you, Ozzy. Good luck to you in your future endeavors. LTNC.
Now, they had an event today on Twitter, and there was a few 100,000 people that were watching because they had Manny Pacquiao and a few other people trying out some of the drinks and talking at a open table.
You know what my advice to Manny Pacquiao is? Get to work on... You work at Herb.
Yeah,
he has
exactly.
employment at Herb. Employment. And
what is he doing with LTNC? How about Herb? That's a good setup. I mean, you could do a lot more on Herb.
Yeah, he could, but he doesn't. And I said to Manny Pacquiao, I issued the challenge that if it went under a dime, he had to fight me.
He would whip your butt.
It's not whether or not he would. It's that he would have to fight me. And if he wants to beat me down and embarrass a man in front of everyone, that's his business. But the question is, I said, if it goes under 10, he has to fight me. And you know what? Unfortunately, it's looking like he, I'm ready for the challenge is what I'm saying to you.
How tall are you, Pat?
I'm tall enough. I'm tall enough, sir.
Taller than him, for sure.
I'm 5'10".
Manny's short.
See, I got reach on him, you know?
Yep.
I got reach on him. I'm tall enough, Manny. So anyways, now they got the LTNC thing. It's kind of bouncing back a little bit. It's just a very slow mover. And the CEO's always buying, which is cool to see.
A
But
couple of the insiders are constantly buying.
yeah, they're always buying. So, and
It's
there's a
gotta
lot
stay
to
that
buy.
way, man. Ever since Ryan Shadle had this company quite a while ago, it just got way overextended. He didn't understand originally coming out of the gate that toxic debt's a horrible way to start things. So it's been a lot of reparation just to get back to where it's at now. And still,
Yeah.
there's a lot more needed.
A lot more to do, slower mover, but if you're a believer in the product and the company, there it is. This collective audience, it's always pinging my radar, and then it's never really moving enough for me to pay attention to. And so what I did is I set this line to see if it would ever crawl through it.
Trend line.
Yeah. But it seems to stay below. It's stabilizing a little bit, but I mean, to be here for a month for basically zero gain really hasn't been worth the time. And they're a delister from NASDAQ. Just tough. It's just tough. It's just a tough trade, and I'm not really sure there's much to do there just yet. XSunX is a great setup. Looks like they're going delinquent now. Not even attempt to file an NT10K. So I guess they'll go gray, and sometimes we're seeing on these before they go gray, people that are holding it, whether they be note holders or whatever, drum up a bunch of volume and action to lubricate the gears to get themselves out. You know what I mean? And is that what's going on here? I couldn't tell you. I mean, they were on the hook for some funding. They said they were going to get funded to the tune of 10 cents per share. The funding fell through, and now they're not filing. So when do you think they'll be gray, Shido?
I just looked it up. They have a different fiscal year, so it's not the standard thing, but they have the same situation. It's Q3 was supposed to ended end of June, and they get 3 months, so end of September also.
Wow.
So beginning of October, it would be the grace period.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not seeing a ton of effort from them in terms of anything or any word from them, but who knows, right?
Yeah, it's crazy that they still didn't get the financing. That if they got that financing, and it came with that financing, that would be unbelievable.
Yeah, and then they said we're going to get this financing, and then you bought it, and they unloaded on it.
Yeah, that
unloaded on it. EVTK, another Chinese mystery, and it made a big move back in the day, March. Big move, sold off on basically what brought it up. Now they're coming back for it. It's still thin too. Damn thin. So.
Yeah. This one I know. I have been trading this a lot in the last few years.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's got another run in it or not, but they're working off some resistance here. We could put an anchor on it and see kind of what. No, I don't want that.
A gust of wind could take that stock to another level.
You got resistance there, kind of 160. If it worked its way through and started sitting above it with some bid support, I mean, they could do another round on that. It's that. Bounce Mobile Systems been a good move. Slow though, like it's $5-6 grand a day, but it's enough.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, lately.
Yeah, and
nice.
And now maybe breaking free again. So good on you if you could handle the ride leading up to this. It's been good, and now you kind of got a bit of support there in the mid fives, and see how far you could go. On average, since the merger was announced, holders of Bounce Mobile Systems are averaging 0.2 right now.
So they're sitting pretty.
Merger was announced in DAPS. Yeah, you could have gotten DAPS still. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely a lot of people very green here. Does it need to correct at some point? You kind of asked the question, but what a good move! And if you took it, then bravo. If you held it, even better, because it was getting dicey a few times there. I mean, a few times I'd buy it and I'd be back almost in dubs.
It was. They shook many out. Yeah, it was. Yeah. And I'm surprised right now, honestly, that it's churning up here for a few days already. I'm surprised that it's holding up.
Because I was kind of looking to see if I could get some in the 3s again. But
look at their news and see, and filings, and see over the last 3 days if they've had anything come out.
yeah,
How often are there press releases coming out? How many in a month? How many in a quarter, roughly?
about 1 a week.
1 a week. And if they're significant releases, that's a reasonable amount of news.
Yeah.
Do they have a Twitter account listed on their page?
July 2nd, and did two PRs in July, and then 1 in August, and then 2 already in September.
Do they have a Twitter account linked to their profile on NoTC?
I don't believe they do.
What about their website?
Let's check it out.
Just curious.
Oh, jeez.
What? What is that?
It's the future of the internet, pal.
They need a new website. Wow, I know that.
I'm looking at this and I'm saying whatever they're doing on the internet, that's working.
Well, I'm trying to see where they're communicating that are keeping people holding this at this point.
You know,
the press releases were strong enough to be seeing this sustain.
The way it traded early on, it was very much insider action. Like they'd shake them out and load it up, and shake them out and load it up. I mean, this is friends and family of Delex Pharma for sure.
One thing that is tricky on this one, just if anybody is listening and is interested, they had an increase of 20 million shares to the unrestricted like a few weeks ago, and it didn't get to the DTC, so we can assume it's not in the market, and otherwise it wouldn't be at 7 cents now. But that's obviously, since it's a fresh increase to the unrestricted, I'm always a little bit cautious, because you don't know if that change from restricted to unrestricted, if they at some point deposit this stuff and sell it into the market, then it's gonna be tough,
I would be concerned about it as well.
In your mind.
I'd be concerned about it as well up here. If I was a new buyer, if I had a position and was able to get my initials out and wanted to see where it went, sure. But as a new buyer up here, yeah, I just don't know.
Exactly. And I'm saying this while I still have some shares, but obviously I still think it's important to note.
Tough one there.
Where are you looking for this stock to go, Cheeto? If you're still holding, you obviously have an expectation.
Well, take a look at this.
What are you betting on?
I don't make plans on that stuff. I sold on the way up in steps. I bought DUPs. So on the announcement, I traded it since then, like back and forth. I trade when they go up and I buy when they go down. If I think it's still a buy. So I do that all the time on all that stuff. So I don't have a plan, or it needs to reach 14 cents or anything. I just watch it every single day and evaluate every single day what I do. Yeah. And if I think I need to take some more off, then I do that and stuff like that.
Yeah, if I had some left here, I'd probably really ask it to stay above 05.
Yeah, that's obviously one thing. The only problem with this stuff is they can be so thin that, above 5, and then it gets 4.8, but the next print can be 7.2. It's unbelievable how spready this stuff sometimes is.
This one
I see it, I watch it all day. So
this one especially has been like that. Because I struggled with it early on. Yeah. Every time I bought it, it would get. I would take. It felt like I took a 50% haircut.
Yeah, you cannot. I don't need to tell you, but
yeah,
for others, you can only do that through size. You cannot trade that stuff if the financial position size hurts you. You cannot do it, because you would, every time you will get in jeopardy, and you would get nervous. It's impossible.
Tough one.
So, question: how big is the spread when it's during trading hours on this stock?
It's like 0.55 to 0.75.
At least it can be bigger.
Yeah,
it can-
sometimes in the 4s.
absolutely.
2 cent spread.
Yep.
And sometimes they shuffle around, and sometimes you see 2 bits above 2 cents. It doesn't mean it goes down to 2 cents, but if you have a lot of money in there and you see that,
Yes,
just imagine
disconcerting.
how panicked you are. So
Yeah.
Yep.
and that's why you have to sell in steps on the way up, no matter what you think, because this can be at 2 cents so fast you cannot even you will not recognize it. You know.
And if you put everything in one block up on the ask, it might scare other people to drop their bids and make the spread even bigger. So
Yeah.
Oh, it was a very tough, very, very tough trade. And anyone who, I mean, the way you would have had to do it is buy it and not look at it. Because if you were paying attention to it, it would have driven you crazy, and it drove me up the wall. So
yeah, many,
that's
not
that.
not only you. I know many that got shook out on this one.
Yeah, I couldn't take it anymore. Yeah,
It's a really tough one. Yeah.
yeah. So there's the list, guys. That's what's going on out here.
now on OTC markets, are there any bombs that we want to talk about?
Sure, yeah. Oh, the other one I want to talk about is this SNBH, which is a great merger.
Oh yeah,
Really good merger.
that's a nice one. Yeah.
They got this AIG company that they got involved with, acquired them. Oh my gosh. And, this AIG, they've got, 8 factories where they're creating drinks and all sorts of different things. Ton of international retailers, Walmart, Kroger, Safeway, you name it. They're distributed across the world, and they're merging into SNBH. And when they announced this merger in August of 23, believe it or not, that's when they did the LOI. It wasn't a done deal. They took it to 30 cents.
Yeah.
And now the deal is closed, and it's just sitting here at 11. So, even the anticipation of it took them to 30 cents. It took a few days, sure, but they got there. It took a couple weeks, but they got there, and here we are again. At, a 65% discount to where they had it on just an LOI. So, as far as I'm concerned, like I have some, I wish there was more volume for sure. But this is a legit company coming in, and it would be really nice to see people rally around it for sure.
Yeah. This stuff is always tough to get, Twitter OTC volume is tough on this.
It'll be a different audience for sure.
Yeah. So usually it comes in silence at some point. At some point there is somebody which it will absolutely slap it if they don't ruin it, the story with dilution or anything, but I don't see it right now. So
not much, no. A little bit of undercutting on the ask, but I don't think we can say with confidence that it's dilution.
Yeah, I don't know OTCN.
Yeah.
I think you were talking about OTCN, right?
Well, because I'll route through OTCN sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
On IB. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
on RBC I do the same. So when people immediately freak out over OTCN, I say, it is an international type of market maker, and it isn't always
no, it depends a little bit on what size he shows, obviously, because
Ron?
retail doesn't
Did
show
you pull
the
this
mini
up on
size.
Ron?
Excuse me.
Ron Motors he was looking at.
Oh, Ron, yeah. Oh, don't ask me about them because
So the other day, I remember I said
my opinion on Twitter sometimes.
what they got some drama going on Twitter, don't they, Ron?
I don't know. I just the thing that I hate most is companies. It's not about some dilution. I get that. That's why they are on the stock market. I get that. But some of these companies,
ADHF. Go back up. What's ADHF?
Ron is an example of this, who always come up with some fluff PRs, no tangible results anytime, but every single day they dump into the PR like crazy,
Always. They always do. And I remember a while ago I said,
so
the
much.
probability of seeing a Ron Motors car on the road
hit the street
is like the probability of, I don't know what it is, getting struck by lightning with a winning lottery ticket in your hand
while sitting on the toilet.
While sitting on the toilet at the base of a rainbow next to a golden
Leprechaun?
Leprechaun, or what do they have? A pot of gold? A pot of gold. Sitting on a pot of gold.
Yeah.
That's the probability.
They have talks, with everybody, and then they sell 100 million shares into the market, the float went from like 40 million, if I remember, to 1 billion now, like at least less than 9 months, I think.
That's good, Pat.
And the guy from Ron on Twitter said he thinks it was reasonable delusion lately, And really, I mean, I have quoted this statement. I mean, and they went from 40 million to 1 billion in like, I don't know, 6-9 months or something.
Yeah, I mean, it was just nonstop selling, and the way they kept lapping it up, and then the way they keep buying the dip and then bouncing it only to go lower, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, initially there were a few good trades because initially they diluted, but then they paused, but that got less and less, Now you have like a pause of 3 days is already a lot, and initially they had a pause of a few weeks, then you could do some trades, but I mean, look at that chart. I mean,
this guy is out of hand. I'm sorry, but enough is enough. How is this allowed to continue?
Yeah, I don't know.
At some point,
go ahead.
At some point, you think that they would halt the stock,
right? Like, because I understood that they were protecting me now. You know what I mean? I was being protected. I'm not feeling protected.
Yeah, on that, it's not.
I'm flapping in the wind out here. Protect me. Protect me, please.
Hyru.
Oh.
What do you think?
That, Shido?
Awful day on Hyru.
Yeah. Awful day.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, bro.
Not extremely surprising, but still.
No, it's not. But they got to find out for themselves, I suppose. Erie as well. This made a move yesterday. Someone had an email where the CEO said, "We want to get revenue. We're working to get revenue one day, so we don't have revenue, and we might do news over the next month."
And it had a pop.
It had a pop, all right. After it got alerted, the email got alerted.
Wow.
The email got alerted after this candle. So you do the math.
That's a lot of movement off of nothing.
Yeah, well, it's what it's all about. I mean, that's with Twitter alerts, and it's tough to get, like, because this pulled almost 300 grand yesterday off of that email and a Twitter alert. And here I am on my knees begging on SNBH with a great merger.
That's the thing.
It's enough to drive you batty.
And one of the reasons is, and I'm sure you agree, that on stuff like these trips, there is a good amount of people that play the 1 or 2 tick trades.
Yes.
That's why you have the volume, because they feel safe to get a tick out of it, and they throw a good amount of money in, They cannot do that on SNBH, obviously. On SNBH, you have to have to buy and like the story and believe in the story, in the acquisition, and go from there and trade it nimble, you know.
Yeah, it's really that with a lot of these trips now, it's really that small cap attitude. You know, you take a scalp out
Yeah,
and walk on it, you know,
100%.
and which is not it's not really how we were raised in the OTC. It was
Oh,
about,
there's more liquidity.
yeah. Yeah. Because it was all about, yeah, buying the story, buying the merger, holding on, seeing how far they take it. And you know, this is similar to like what they do with these crypto trades, right? They just take 20% out, never
Mhm.
look at it again, whatever. It's just a different world.
It's still always the same though. Buy on rumor, sell on news. They're not even holding your news now.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. So that's that, guys. That's what we got, and that's
Yeah.
the update. Hopefully, everyone enjoyed it, and I was able to show you what's going on. And Shido obviously knows all these inside and out. So
Yeah, just
thank
like
you,
you.
and
I mean,
Josh. I mean, thanks, guys.
we had one request on Twitter about BIEI. I know I know you have an opinion on this, Pat. I give you mine. It's I have some at the moment. Obviously, on paper, this looks interesting because it just had a huge contract announcement, a new deal, a new business, and it's triple maxed, meaning the AS is totally maxed out. The restricted is almost at zero. So you don't have the risk that restricted goes unrestricted, and the unrestricted is the same as the held at DTC. So you don't have that risk. So I called it the triple max. It's a perfect situation. But then again, there is always some selling going on. What do you think, Pat? Obviously, fair enough. We have to say we don't have enough volume that a billion floater couldn't like churn here. You know, if we would have done 500 million, then it would be different. But if you do 100 million, and the next day you do 50, it's not necessarily moving the needle, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's the problem. And back, yeah, it was December 22, which I can't believe it's that long ago now. But they had a merger. They said it was in graphene and stuff. Ran it up, and it was max then as well. They said,
Yeah,
and it was trading like garbage. And then finally they said come that February, we're not doing this graphene merger. We're not doing it. And everyone got unloaded on. I took a big kick in the Saccolini.
Me too. I
And
was
then,
in on that day as well.
yeah, and then they just continued on doing graphene. They said we're not doing the merger, and then they just started putting out news. Hey, check out our graphene. It was so weird. And as much as it shows that it's maxed, there's always some kind of suspicious selling going on. You saw it with their news the other day. But you know, with that, like there's been more selling than there has been buying almost since the news release. But it's holding up okay, and the news was also okay. I mean, you know, $50 million contract is pretty good. And it's holding up. So, you know, if it can just stay above 15, you could maybe get another good move here. You know, and that's all you can do. Like my feelings about the way they treated me on this, which was like garbage, and the selling they did and the lie that they did bothers me. But if you're just looking at the data and the chart, you know, it's above 15, it could be okay. 50 million is a good contract. Really big.
Absolutely. It's still a go at 18. I think. I mean, it's not decided yet whether it will be a success or not, but we will see. I guess in the next few days.
Tough to say, but not bad. It's just you just can't live with the emotional baggage. You know what I mean? Like you just got to draw a line and say, "Yo, be above this and go for it." Because if you start dwelling on what they did a couple of years ago, you can't.
Yeah,
you know.
agree.
Yeah.
No, you have to look at the facts and one fact is the line on the chart, obviously.
Yeah.
Know what you own. Do your due diligence. Learn everything you can because you don't want to get caught being bagged like you guys were on that day back in how many years ago was that?
2 years.
I hope it works out for him. Thanks in the crowd for bringing that up. Guys, we really do look forward to hear from you. So if you have a stock that you're looking at, if you have questions about due diligence, or if you want us to pull up the chart and look through what's going on with the company, DM us. Send it to us in the chats. I mean, we love to hear from you. We're here for you guys. So let's continue to go after new information like this on companies that we hopefully have meat on the bone and something to work with. I mean, I know, can you pull up, before we go, can you pull up that chart on MVCO? Did he do a forward split?
Yeah, but it was a while ago.
A while ago.
He filed for another forward split like half a year or 9 months ago, but he never did that second one.
Yeah.
Did I see the stock running today and yesterday or like the last?
No.
Am I crazy?
No,
It's
that's
not-
the crazy
it's
thing.
Just dumped and then zero volume, basically.
I'm shocked it did so little on that great merger news, on that great acquisition news.
Yeah, me too. I thought it would do a lot better.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
Well, the OTC is a fickle beast right now.
Yeah.
All right, guys. It's always an honor to be able to come together and talk about stocks. If you're watching this show, again, please share, like, and follow us. We got at JRC Stocks, Shido _74, and Kiko Stocks here. And we would love to connect with you guys. DM us, get involved in the conversation. And thank you so much for being part of this channel. Please go to YouTube, find our channel, it's JRC Stocks, and like our videos, subscribe, click on the notification button so that you can stay in touch with all of the upcoming announcements that we have and interviews with other companies. I know that we have another interview, I believe, coming up next week, potentially on Tuesday, with a company that has a checkered past, but some really exciting things happening in its future. So I look forward to getting back in touch with everybody here in a few days. Until then, I hope you have a great weekend. God bless you guys, and may you trade well.
See you guys.
See you later, guys.